In Japanese, it's pretty simple to say something like a tasty cake. But what if you want to talk about the specific cake that your mother made? That's where the language gets incredibly descriptive and honestly a lot more powerful. It's this amazing trick that lets you pack an entire story into the space of a single adjective. And getting this down, it's the key to sounding way more natural. So let's break down how it all works.
So yeah, this is the big question, right? How do you make that jump from just a single word to a whole narrative? We're going to learn how to embed a complete action, who did what, directly onto a noun. It's really the difference between pointing at just any old object and pointing at the exact one you mean. Trust me, it's a total game changer.
I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. On the left, you've got kiki, a cake, fine. It could be any cake in the world. But on the right, haha ga tsukutta keiki. Well, suddenly it's got a history, right? It has a backstory. It's not just any cake, it's the cake that my mother made. That little clause right before it just transforms everything. And that's exactly what we're aiming for.
All right, so how do we actually build this? Well, the really great news is that it isn't some huge list of complicated rules you have to memorize. It all boils down to one simple, kinda elegant blueprint that you can use for pretty much anything.
And here it is. This is the magic formula. You just take an entire sentence, make sure the verb is in its plain form, the dictionary form, and you just stick it right in front of the noun you want to describe. That's it. The whole sentence now behaves just like a single adjective. It becomes this sentence adjective attached right onto the noun it's describing.
Okay, so this blueprint works in two main ways. The first pattern we're going to look at is when the noun we're describing is the one that's actually doing the action in our little descriptive sentence. It's the subject of that modifying part.
Okay, let's build one out. Our noun is the movie, eiga, and the action we want to attach to it is that it starts at 7 o'clock, or 7時に始まる. So think about it. What starts at 7? The movie does. The noun is doing the action, so we just combine them and we get 7時に始まる映画, the movie that starts at 7. Simple as that.
Now let's see how that entire chunk, the movie that starts at 7, works as a single unit inside a bigger sentence. The whole thing is 7時に始まる映画は長いです. Just listen to how that first part all holds together as one idea before we even get to the main point of the sentence.
See how that works? The entire phrase, the movie that starts at 7, becomes the single topic of our sentence. And what about that topic? Well, nagai desu, it's long. That whole descriptive clause gets treated like one solid unit, just one big souped-up noun.
All right, let's move on to the second pattern and see how we can build on this. This is what you use when the noun you're describing isn't doing the action, but is instead on the receiving end of it. It's the object of the verb in our descriptive sentence. Now for our second type. Here, the noun we're describing is receiving the action. Let's take the phrase watashi ga katta hon. Okay, our noun is hon, the book. The descriptive bit is watashi ga katta, which means I bought. So let's ask the questions. Who did the buying? I did. What was bought? The book. The book is the object of my action, right? It's on the receiving end.
And here's what that looks like in a complete thought. The sentence is Ken ga yomu hon wa muzukashii desu. Notice again how we have this little mini-sentence, Ken ga yomu hon, embedded right at the start, acting as the main topic for the whole idea.
The translation really makes the structure crystal clear. The main point of the whole sentence is super simple. The book is difficult. But our descriptive clause specifies which book we're talking about. It's the book that Ken reads. And inside that little clause, Ken is the subject, he's the one doing the reading, and the book is the object, what's being read.
So putting them side by side like this really makes the difference pop. The subject pattern describes a noun that does an action, like the movie that starts. The object pattern, on the other hand, describes a noun that has an action done to it, like the book that I bought. Just figuring out which role the noun plays is really the key to building these things correctly.
Okay, so we've got the blueprint, and we've got the two main patterns. But there's one more golden rule we absolutely need to cover. It's about particles, and it's a small detail that makes a huge difference. And honestly, it's one that trips up just about everyone when they're starting out.
So you've probably noticed in the examples that when a subject pops up inside that modifying sentence, like I or Ken, it's always marked with the particle ga, not the typical topic marker wa. So what's going on there? Why the switch?
And here's the rule, plain and simple. Inside one of these descriptive modifying clauses, the subject is always marked with ga. Always. The particle wa is reserved for the big job.
marking the main topic of the entire sentence. You can think of ga as the marker for the subject of the mini-sentence that's doing the describing.
Let's go back to our cake example, but this time pay super close attention to the particles. 姉が作ったケーキは甘いです. See that ga right after 姉, my older sister? It's not wa. We're using ga here specifically because my sister is the subject of that inner clause. She's the one who made the cake.
The translation shows these two levels perfectly. The big main topic of the sentence is the cake that my older sister made, and that entire block is followed by wa. But inside that block, ga is absolutely required to pinpoint exactly who did the making. This is a solid rule you can always rely on.
So, there you have it. That's the complete toolkit. The basic formula, the two patterns for subject and object, and that golden rule for particles. You now have everything you need to start building these richer, more descriptive sentences all on your own.
So let's just do a quick recap of the core ideas. First, remember the basic formula. Just attach a plain form sentence right before a noun. Then, you got to figure out the noun's role. Is it doing the action or is it receiving the action? And finally, never ever forget that golden rule. Inside that descriptive clause, the subject always gets the particle ga, not wa.
So here's a final thought, a challenge for you. Look around the room you're in right now. Don't just see a chair. See the chair that I am sitting on. Don't just see a computer. See the computer that I bought last year. This grammar isn't just some abstract rule. It's a completely new way of seeing the world. So how can you use it to add a story to everything around you?